Some stories are told by candlelight. Others should never be told to anyone. But here, we tell them all. Welcome, darklings, to Fairytale Felonies, where every whispered legend has teeth, and folklore bleeds into fact, and where even the prettiest tales hide a body in the shadows. Tonight, we unearth a nobleman cursed from birth with a second face, and a love story as tragic as the curse itself. Once upon a time, in a kingdom stitched together by fog and superstition, there lived a young nobleman named Edward Mordrake. Edward was the heir to an old and shadow-haunted estate. The people said his bloodline was older than the hills, older even than the whispers that lived in the walls of their crumbling ancestral castle. Edward was beautiful, inside and out, with lovely eyes and a kind soul, but beauty, like moonlight, hides its shadows. For Edward carried a secret born with him, a secret he could neither explain nor escape. On the back of his head, beneath his thick dark hair, was a second face, a pale, twisted mask that smiled when he cried and cried when he smiled. It whispered to him in the long hours of the night, speaking of sins he never committed and futures he never wanted. The doctors called it a deformity, the priests called it a demon, but Edward called it him. Despite his curse, Edward lived gently, soft-spoken, tender-hearted, lonely. That loneliness ended the night he met Eleanor Brightwell, a scholar's daughter with ink-stained hands and eyes full of hope and kindness. She was curious, fearless, and touched by the same strangeness that haunted Edward. Where others saw his curse, she saw a boy longing to be free. Eleanor Brightwell, the girl who stole his lonely heart, carried a secret of her own. When she was born, the midwives gasped and crossed themselves, for nestled inside her tiny body was a malformed parasitic twin, a shadow self that threatened to steal her breath before she ever spoke a word. Her father, a scholar of strange sciences, performed the forbidden surgery himself. He removed the twisted remnant to save her life, burying it in the garden under moonlight, while praying the earth would keep it quiet. Eleanor grew into a radiant, curious young woman, but she always sensed something missing, as if a piece of herself had been carved away. Some nights she felt phantom aches. Some nights she heard whispers. Whispers that sounded very much like the ones tormenting Edward. Perhaps that is why she never feared his curse. Perhaps that is why she could look upon his second face and see not horror, but kinship. They met in the castle's abandoned library, a place where only dust and forgotten stories kept watch. Eleanor read aloud to him, tales of heroes and monsters, and for the first time, Edward learned how it felt to be seen without fear. But the second face, the one hidden in the curls of his hair, did not love Eleanor. "She will not save you," it whispered. "She will betray you. They always do." The more Edward loved Eleanor, the more the face grew jealous. When the harvest moon rose red as a fresh wound, Edward took Eleanor to the highest tower of the estate. The wind carried her laughter, and for a moment he believed he could be normal, just a prince with a girl he adored. But the whispers grew louder. "She doesn't love you. She loves your title. She will expose us to the world. She wants me taken from you." Edward clutched his head, begging the voice to stop. Eleanor ran to him, reaching out, but the second face screamed, a scream no human throat had ever made, a scream full of rage and fear and possessive hunger. Edward's vision blurred, his hands shook, and before he understood what had happened, Eleanor lay at his feet, her white dress blooming red. The second face wept with laughter. The kingdom found Edward cradling her lifeless body, rocking back and forth, whispering apologies into her hair. "It wasn't me. It wasn't me. It wasn't me." But guilt is a chain that never rusts, and curses never loosen their grip. They locked Edward away in the tower, the same tower where their love had lived and died. For days the servants heard him pleading with the face, begging it to let him go, begging for Eleanor's forgiveness, begging for silence. But the face whispered without rest. It told him the tale of every lie, every betrayal, every sin it claimed the world would cast on him. It told him he was nothing without it. It told him he would never escape. And Edward, broken by grief and haunted by whispers, believed it. One storm-soaked night, lightning split the sky and rattled the castle bones. When the guards checked the tower, they found the door locked from the inside and a note pinned to the wall with red-stained fabric from Eleanor's dress. It read, "Destroy the second face, and let no man hear its lies again." Edward had poisoned himself with an archaic alchemical tincture, a shimmering black draught older than the kingdom itself, a substance once used by ancient physicians to quiet the soul. Its scent lingered in the room like bruised violets and iron. When the physicians prepared his body, they found the second face had twisted into a grotesque grin, almost triumphant, as if it had finally won. The scribes burned the face as Edward wished, but the whispers never stopped. Edward Mordrake died, unhappily ever after. Some say that on stormy nights in the old Mordrake Tower, two voices can be heard, one crying and one laughing. And so ends the tragedy of Edward Mordrake and Eleanor Brightwell, two souls stitched together by fate and torn apart by the shadows they carried. If you'd like more dark fairy tales, twisted legends, and folklore crimes, don't forget to like and subscribe to join our family of Fairytale Felons. Ring the bell so the next whisper finds you first. Until then, stay curious, stay cautious, and beware the stories that whisper back.